Hello, hello, my masters of the mystical mists and touches. It is I again, the conspicuous Moo. I do apologise for my absence recently, but Mrs. Moo and I welcomed a conspicuous calf into the world last week, so you can imagine my priorities have been significantly adjusted. For the record, she is very pretty and we do plan on keeping her, although she still needs to pass her probationary period. Anyway, enough of my news, let's kick on with what's been going on in the monk world. So, Windwalkers, rejoice! We finally get a little bit of shininess sent our way courtesy of our Blizzard overlords. It's safe to say that the last fortnight has been more than a little choppy for the Windwalker community. First, the bug fixes reduced our single target slightly and nuked our AoE damage substantially. Then it transpired that Spinning Crane Kick was no longer gaining benefit from our mastery, as it absolutely should. Then another of those Warcraft logs popped up and came up for damage dealers in Castle Nathria, and we had crashed 14 places since the mini patch went live. Ouch. It's all been a bit of a shambles, frankly. But despair no longer, fellow hand slappers. Not only does Spinning Crane Kick get its mastery bonus back, but they've even buffed the damage bonus of Mark of the Crane to 15% from 10%. So this means that your Spinning Crane Kick will be doing more damage the more Mark of the Crane stacks you have up. And that's a nice welcome balm to the festering sore that is our AoE damage. Also, if that wasn't enough, your secondary damage when using Fists of Fury is up to 70% from 50%. As the developers themselves have acknowledged, fixing the old bugs brought our damage down too far, so at least they're sentient enough to try and remedy our AoE problem. How successful will that be? Well, only logs will be able to tell us. And perhaps some Feedercraft and some hyperbole, let's be honest here. For my part, my Windwalker DPS has actually gone up substantially since the nerfs, but I think that's only because I was terrible to start with, and that practice is making me a little better. It was a low bar to clear after all. Mistweaver monks score second for throughput in Mythic Castle Nathria according to the passes from Warcraft logs. Now this is consistent with our position since the beginning of Shadowlands, but as any professional Mistweaver can tell you, having good throughput does not translate to actual raid spots. The amounts of available Mythic Nathria logs was comfortably lowest for our kind, as opposed to all of the other classes and specs, and while the mana changes for Mistweaver 9.0.5 were welcome, they were minor in all honesty, and we still suffer in comparison to other healers who bring useful toolkits to every encounter. That lack of unique utility that couldn't be brought by a Windwalker or a Brewmaster means that, we're still pretty much bottom of the barrel, in terms of community perception anyway, when it comes to Mythic Plus. However, if anyone tells you Mistweavers can't do higher keys, then paralyze them quick. They're probably a salty discipline priest. You can still do Keystone Master with your waving mystical green hands. As for my brewskis, at this point, it's safe to assume that the guy who has the Brewmaster tuning on his to-do list has gone into hibernation for the time being. Either Blizzard think that Brewmaster's lower stagger and compulsory celestial brew usage is fine, or they've just forgotten that we have a tank spec. I still find Brewmaster enormously fun, with my Charred Passions and Rushing Jade Wind AoE damage just being absurd, but it is a little tough to take when you see other tanks getting deserved attention, and yes, I'm looking at you, Protection Warriors, while our beer-guzzling, fire-breathing Leviathan is largely forgotten. But who knows, maybe we'll get noticed in 10.0, there's only 18 months to go. In raiding news, Sludgefist and Stone Legion Generals are both getting a set of nerfs. Now it is, to be honest, a bit of a shame that, Stone Legion Generals hasn't just been deleted at this point. I mean, surely Blizzard could crowbar in yet another long-dead lore icon to put in as a substitute. Their damage reductions are all on the mythic difficulties, so it's just to make that fight a little easier. But for those raiding below mythic level, the two major changes that stood out to me were on Sludgefist, because they are the two that I am objectively worst at. And, it would actually matter to me if I was still raiding consistently. The stomp radius is going to be reduced from 20 to 16 yards, and the chain link will be extended from 12 to 14 yards. So those are welcome if late changes to an encounter that I have repeatedly failed at, as those of you who've watched the streams can attest to. Blizzard developers also went to the trouble of making already tedious world quests involving anima cones and blazing ingots even more tiresome. It's about priorities, people. Why work on new stuff when the old stuff needs such fine and delicate tuning? And talking of Activision Blizzard, they're consolidating, and yes, that means sacking people. Latin America looks like it got a good kicking, and most of the smaller hubs in Europe are being merged into one UK operation. Esports and live events were consolidated by 50 people as well, so it's not really been a stellar week for employees. By the by, giving $200 worth of Battle.net balance to severed workers while the CEO takes a $200 million stock option as a reward in the same week? Stay classy, Blizzard. However, if you're not really into job security, there are positions still open for the as-yet unannounced first-person shooter that Blizzard are apparently developing. Now, some are praying that this is going to be StarCraft in theme, but personally I'm hoping for a new IP, as the current ones are either a bit stale or they've just been abandoned entirely. They really do need a fresh injection of creativity rather badly at Blizzard HQ, that is for certain. And for those of you unfortunate enough to be a victim of Activision Blizzard's belt tightening, they're setting up a networking community for you. Yes, it's another fine example, sublime and sensitively timed, I'm sure you'll agree. Hopefully these former employees who have spent their Battle.net balance now will get together to rescue what remains of Blizzard Entertainment at this point. There's certainly been quite a number of high-profile departures who have now gone on to create their own gaming companies and acquire the startup funding. Dreamhaven and Frostgiant, and perhaps Warchief Gaming as well, are perhaps the most notable of those. Many kerfuffles were also recently caused when the Battle.net launcher decided to start downloading the beta testing client for the Burning Crusade. Reactions ranged from, "Oh my god, where's my beta key?" For the record, you need to opt in manually to the Burning Crusade beta if you're interested, to the not unnatural question of where the public test realm for the fabled 9.1 Shadowlands patch is. Law eventually took to Twitter to confirm that Blizzard had just goofed a bit, and nobody outside their Technodrome was getting beta access right now. So, bless. Small indie company, etc. So, to summarise all of that, Windwalkers are better, Mistweavers and Brewmasters are in stasis of some kind, and the leadership at Activision Blizzard are scum. Just another week, eh? I will try and get on and stream a little this week, but it will depend upon the will and graciousness of my new calf. But alone willing, I will be granted leave. Stay wonderfully monkish, folks, and I will see you again soon. And as always, I am the conspicuous Moo, and a very happy AoE fiesta to you.